Howdy y'all, I hope you guys are all doing well, I hope you guys are safe, and I hope you guys are healthy. My name is Josh and I absolutely love clothing and personal style. So if you're into that type of content, feel free to subscribe to me here on YouTube as well as follow me on Instagram at wears_Galdo. So today's video, I'm bringing you guys a video on shoes that I actually were lucky enough to try out. Was going to pay a much larger price for it, but I found them at the thrift. But before I get to that, I might sound a little nasally, still getting over a little bit of sickness, but that's not going to stop me from making videos. Today is going to be about toe shoes, specifically the Vibram 5 Fingers technology. I found these at the thrift. This is the Vibram 5 Fingers Spiridon LS, if I'm not mistaken. And I will say these are probably one of the ugliest shoes that you could possibly find out on the market today. So primary goal of this video is to basically kind of catch you up to speed on exactly why these exist, why I got interested in them, and why I won't be purchasing the more expensive designer variants of these. As well as, are they functional and are they kind of like useful in a fashion forward sense? Now, because I say at the beginning of this video I'm not going to be buying these, this is not to bash Vibram as a company. Love Vibram. They provide some of the greatest soles. This is just one of their kind of original ideas that they claimed a lot of, and I was very curious to see if that was the case for me. But because of the shoes that I'm accustomed to, these aren't really doing it for me in regard to the functional aspect of it, and I'll explain in just a little bit. So first questions first, why did I decide to pick these shoes up? Well, this technology has been around for quite a while. Didn't know how long initially, but after my research of this video, a lot longer than you'd expect. Probably close to 20 years now, which is kind of crazy. But these shoes, initially when I first saw them on people just around, I thought they were incredibly ugly, but then designers started kind of adapting this technology to use like Balenciaga, Takahiro Miyashita, the soloist, as well as Suiko. And I was like, if multiple different designer brands are going to be using this technology in their designs, I'm wondering if they actually have a more functional purpose as to why they're going to be adapting this, or is it just the shock value that they look so strange? So I did have a little bit of a hypebeast moment, was influenced by designer brands, and I really, for a long time, have wanted to try these out, but didn't really want to pay full price for them. Vibram 5 Fingers Spiridon LS, I was lucky enough to find at the thrift store. Now, a shoe like this is already bad enough, but to find them at a thrift store sounds pretty grimy. I did everything I possibly could to just completely disinfect the ever-living hell out of these. So I threw them in the washing machine with a ton of detergent. I actually went ahead and on the inside got diluted bleach and just wiped the insides extremely thoroughly, because I have no idea where these came from, and the potential for someone else to put their bare feet inside of this is nasty to me personally. So I went ahead and cleaned the ever-living hell out of them. They're good now, multiple days outside to dry, so anybody who's questioning the sanitary aspect of it, I did my best. But I got these for approximately $10 at the thrift, was really excited for it, and one thing I didn't foresee is what socks do I wear with these? Well, toe socks do exist. I wasn't willing to buy a completely brand new sock just to wear one shoe. Did some more research, and a lot of people who wear these don't wear socks with these. And so I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead and try it without socks. I'm not gonna have any clips of me putting them on. No free feet content on my channel, sorry, but these shoes are just so weird. You guys know me, I'm a little like history nerd when it comes to clothing. I really wanted to do some research and find out exactly what is this 5-finger technology from Vibram. This technology has been around, and they first introduced the 5-finger design in 2006. So they've been around for almost 20 years, which is kind of crazy. I do remember seeing them when I was younger, was never interested until I got really into fashion, and then arguably too into fashion, and now I'm morbidly curious about this pair right here. But they came alongside some claims that they were more beneficial to you than a regular shoe. That the barefoot design would actually improve the function of your feet or comfortability. And that claim unfortunately was disputed by a lot of people and was not backed by science or scientific study. So there were lawsuits against Vibram for these claims. So that automatically kind of set off in my mind. I was like, wow, so maybe these don't really work that well. So I was like, you know what? Legal controversy plus crazy looking shoe, this kind of snowballed my interest in these shoes altogether. So now equipped with this new pair from the thrift store, they were actually in relatively good condition. I mean, like the tread was still really, really good. And the insides were not grimy or gross. I still very thoroughly cleaned them like I had mentioned earlier, but I thought the colorway was actually kind of cool too. It has the silvers, the browns, it has a lot of accents. It's very much kind of like Asics sneakery looking type of thing, but these shoes I decided to use for a plethora of different situations since I've had them. I've had them for probably about 2 weeks now, and I've decided to wear them for about 5 days to just see exactly what these shoes had going for them and if there is some sort of merit to the claims that they initially put forth. The first thing that I noticed after cleaning them, after having them dry, is that this shoe, you're going to need them to be your exact true to size, because having too much space at the end of these toes here or too little space is honestly, too little space is gonna hurt a lot, and too much space is just going to feel really awkward and weird. So you need to get your real true to size with these shoes. Thankfully, the pair that I thrifted was my size, so that's great. But when you put them on, they have this kind of bungee lacing system right over here, which works perfectly well. But when you put your foot into the shoe itself, you're going to have to make sure that each toe seeds into the shoe, and it might take a couple tries just because, I mean, if your toes are bunched together in a certain way, maybe two end up in like the middle toe or something. But once you get your whole foot glove attached to you, it's really interesting because it really does feel like a barefoot experience. They're probably the lightest shoes I've ever put on my feet. And the fact that you're able to like kind of move your feet in ways that other shoes are pretty restricting. So I was really surprised about that part. But all in all, the grip on the bottom is actually really useful. They do offer different models for different purposes. This pair right here is very thin on the upper, doesn't keep my feet warm really whatsoever. So in the cold weather, these aren't amazing, but they do have other renditions that'll keep your feet warm. And they also have other variants that are kind of more akin to like, I think trail running, a little bit heavier treads, or hiking and stuff like that. So if they offer a lot of different versions of this that'll kind of fill whatever need that you need them for. Once I had them on and I wore them for the couple of days that I did, they felt honestly really comfortable. They felt like I didn't have a shoe on whatsoever, but it really was lightweight, really, really flexible, felt honestly pretty good. Driving was a little weird. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to drive barefoot. Not a wonderful experience for me personally. And this does exactly feel like you're driving barefoot. Not that fun, but they felt good. All in all, they felt pretty solid. I was kind of surprised at how little cushion there was just in general, but I mean, with a sole that's like so thin, there isn't much cushion to exist in the first place. And I will say, if you are a person that has arch problems, like you have an exceptionally flat foot or you have a very high arch, these don't really offer arch support whatsoever. So if you have arch problems, definitely probably skip out on this pair. Now, where my biggest gripes come from this shoe is I actually wanted to kind of really put it to the test, go for a jog in these, because these are advertised as shoes that you can run in. And good Lord, was that an unpleasant experience. So typically when I go for jogs, I'm wearing something like New Balance or Hoka, something that has a very significant, probably close to like 1 inch of like cushioning underneath. So every blow, every step a lot of energy is absorbed by that cushioning. Well, this shoe, Absolutely is not the case. And I may be biased because I'm used to the other shoes that I'm often running in. But this, oh goodness, it really does feel like you're running barefoot. I know I keep repeating that, and I know that's the point of them, but every single change in texture, every single change in like smoothness underneath your foot, you can definitely feel it. So typically around my apartment complex, I'm running on concrete or asphalt, and I decided to walk over a patch of rocks to see how that felt. Typically with any other normal shoe, walking over a patch of rocks doesn't matter. But in this shoe, I mean, look how flexible these are. I felt every single bump and rock underneath me, and as I was jogging, I accidentally stepped over a rock, and it stabbed into my arch and really sucked. So I would not suggest running in these if you're used to other like more heavily cushioned pairs of shoes. Another thing is the energy return in these shoes. It felt pretty awful to have no energy return whatsoever. And when you're talking about shoes that like have the EVA foam or other types of foam or technology in them that are meant to basically propel the energy that goes down forward in running shoes, this completely robs you of that experience, and you are basically using every muscle in your legs to propel yourself forward in each step, which honestly, if you're like a runner and trying to train all of your leg muscles, it makes sense and actually might be kind of beneficial. But I'm a casual person who runs just for exercise. I'm not trying to train my legs for anything particular. This shoe is not one that I would suggest for any sort of like intense running. In one of their initial claims, they were basically saying that you could utilize more of your foot to like run and do things, and I kind of partially agree with that, because when I did a mile run, just 1 mile run in these, oh my gosh, you have 26 bones in your feet and 33 joints, and I feel like after I ran, I felt like every single one was utilized. There were parts of my foot that I didn't know could be like worked, and like my feet were actually very sore, especially my heels, because like all of that pressure being put on the heels, that energy return in the heel, did not feel great. So I definitely had to like take a day or two off of like jogging, because wow, it just didn't feel good. Now, to be fair, could be because I'm not used to these shoes, but I'm just speaking from my experience. Now, with all that being said, I want to be very clear, not a professional runner. I am not someone that has any like real authority in regard to footwear design, but this is just me recalling my experience of trying these out. But now for the part that I feel like most people are kind of looking for my channel, fashion, or how do these fit in the realm of the fashion world? Well, I think these are absolutely fascinating pieces of footwear, and I think they're kind of cool. They're like so hideously ugly that it's kind of cool. They're the ultimate statement piece. They are basically like, you take a tabby and you like crank it to 10. They're so ugly, it makes a whole like roundabout turn to being kind of interesting. These definitely add an air of kind of pseudo-futurism to any sort of outfit. I can see this fitting in kind of like a Y2K look. Just honestly speaking, I wore these with like loose pants, like loose, like wide leg pants, and they looked pretty cool with my little toesies peeking out the front. Balenciaga made a rendition of these that have a heel to them, which now wearing this, I cannot imagine wearing a heel and basically using the actual ball of your foot. Oh my god, ugh, that sounds awful. And putting them on in heel form sounds way more difficult than putting them on like this. Suicoke added, I think it was Suicoke that added toenails to the ends of these shoes. That's gross, at least I think so. I know Christian from Frugal Aesthetic actually has that pair. I mean, that went a touch too far for my opinion. My favorite rendition of the Vibram Five Finger is actually the Takahiro Miyashita, the soloist Five Fingers, which take like a derby or a boot or like a leather shoe and then apply the five finger technology. That to me is the most interesting variant of these, and that would be the most likely pair that I would buy. But personally, I don't think I'm going to go for those. I'm not going to spend too much money when I know that they're only going to feel just like this. I'm happy to have this, happy to experiment with it, but I'm not going to spend designer money on something that I know that isn't going to feel too great on feet. As far as styling goes in regards to these shoes, I think these look best with like a wide leg pant on where it covers most of the shoe and it looks like you're just kind of barefoot under a wide leg pant. That's how I wore it mostly. I did try it on with shorts, and I thought like, I just tried it on with a pair of Dickies shorts, and I think it actually looked pretty cool in that as well. I don't really own shorts that are much shorter than a Dickies short, so yeah, no, I think they actually style relatively well. They're the ultimate statement piece, like I said a couple minutes ago, but yeah, so my opinion on these is kind of sitting in limbo. I like the look, don't like the function. I do want to know what you guys think of these. These are absolutely insane looking, and I mean, I'm not a person who's a fan of feet whatsoever, but yeah, these are fun with a question mark at the end of that. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below or through my Instagram DMs. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.